LTL shipping. We're going to talk about what it is, how it works with Amazon, and how you could potentially save a lot of money, as well as the downsides of shipping LTL, because there certainly are those too. So we are going to get right into it. First of all, what is LTL shipping? LTL is shipping freight or pallets, and in our case to an Amazon fulfillment center for our FBA items. So when we first start out, we all start shipping via what's called small parcel, and that's just the boxes that we're used to sending through UPS or FedEx, usually UPS for us, but it could be anyone, that go right to the fulfillment centers. And anyone that's shipped any kind of a decent volume into FBA via the small parcel method knows that this can get very expensive very fast. Actually, as a matter of fact, shipping is one of the #1 silent killers you don't factor in. When you're sourcing your product, you don't know what it's going to cost to ship it. You could guess. I mean, the farther in that you get, the better you are at forecasting how much it costs. We know what every piece that leaves our building costs because we have, pretty fixed costs for trucking. But when it comes to small parcel, it can be a lot more expensive than LTL shipping. So LTL shipping is palletized goods that are sent to an Amazon fulfillment center on a trailer or a truck or a tractor trailer, whatever you want to call it, and unloaded by Amazon. Let's look at this screen here. This is going to explain to us the difference between LTL, which is less than truckload, and FTL, which is full truckload. Sometimes FTL is referred to as just TL, like it is in this case, but it's full truckload or less than truckload, basically. So as you can see here, a less than truckload shipment has pallets and packages all from different shippers that go on the same truck. And they do that because if someone is sending a pallet and they don't have enough to fill an entire truck, it's not really economical for them to pay for an entire truck when they're only using, one or two, three spots in it. So they use what's called LTL. And as you can see here, this is several shippers on the same truck. Shipper 1, Shipper 2, Shipper 3, and Shipper 4. And this allows the trucks to get full to capacity, so they're maximizing their dollars on the LTL side, but it also lets us hitch a ride on a much more economical way to send our products to Amazon. And you can compare it right here, of course, to a truckload shipment. As you can see, this truck is also full, but it's full from just one shipper. If you put it in the terms of Amazon sellers, this is multiple sellers versus just one seller. And the cost savings is significant. What we're going to see here is an example of a small parcel shipment, how much it costs, versus an LTL shipment and how much that costs. And we're doing this so we can highlight the actual cost saving differences. And remember, every bit of money you can save is for the greater good. It's all important, and all these little pennies add up. Now in this case, it's probably a little bit more than pennies, but let's see what we have. This sample small parcel delivery is pretty simple. Now assume that this is a bigger shipment. This is not anything small. It's showing that it's 40 boxes and 320 units. Right here it shows you the actual charges. This is what Amazon would charge us for the shipment. This is using their partnered carrier, which I'm telling you is always the cheapest small parcel option unless you have these great, crazy shipping rates that we've never seen ourselves before. But by and large, the small parcel partnered carrier is the way to go if you are doing small parcel. This is $397.18. It might not sound like a lot because you say, okay, well, I'm sending in 320 units. That's not so bad. If you do the math on that, that's $1.24 per unit just to ship it there. That doesn't even include what these boxes that you're putting it in cost. Keep that in mind too. A box could be, well over $1, depending on where you're getting them from. I mean, they could be cheaper, of course, or you could be finding free boxes. But I don't know how sustainable that is for a period of time. Either way, just by adding $1.24 to the product cost is already a lot. And then if you're compounding that with the additional cost of a box and tape and all those things, it really adds up. So this shipment here, Amazon has $397.18. It's expensive, but it's not that bad. I guess, we're sending in 320 units. Maybe it's not the worst. Now over here, we're going to see the same shipment. Same exact everything. Same exact weight, dimensions, piece count, everything. But this time, we did it via LTL, via the palletized shipping method instead of a UPS. And look at the difference. This is $156.41 for the partnered carrier. That takes your per piece shipping cost from the $1.24 that it was via small parcel to 49 cents a piece. That is a huge, huge, huge difference. Just imagine making an extra 50 cents profit on every item you sold if you're selling thousands of items. It absolutely adds up, and it could be free money as far as you're concerned. If you're making money and you're profiting at the small parcel shipping, this is all just extra money. Just on a shipment basis, on a broad level, forget about the per piece cost. You're still saving $240 on this shipment just by changing the way that it works. Yeah, it's a little bit more work up front until we learn the processes, but once you figure out how to do the LTL shipping, it's a lot faster in every aspect of it. Plus, what's great about LTL shipping is because you're not worried about how many boxes are going in via small parcel, because you know that if you ship small parcel, the more boxes you use, the higher your shipping charges are going to be. When you're doing LTL, you don't really have that problem. All you're really worried about is how many pallets you're going to have. So when you're doing the LTL, you could reuse a lot of the manufacturer's cartons. And that's going to save you twice now. Now you're saving on your shipping cost, and you're saving on box cost because you're not buying boxes, or you're not going out sourcing boxes. Both of those things can add up to the difference between a profitable business and a not profitable business if we understand it. The savings here are huge. There's definitely no denying it. You might be thinking, Tom, what's the catch? Well, unfortunately, there is a catch. The downside to LTL shipping, and this is a big downside, this really turned us off to this when we first started, is the shipping time. It could take quite some time to get this delivered and received. And of course, the same thing could be true for small parcel shipments too. Let's face it, we've all had small parcel boxes sitting there for weeks and saying, what is going on? Why are they not receiving this? It stinks, but it also happens with LTL, and it cuts a little differently when you have 2 pallets of things versus 2 boxes of things. It adds up quick, and it really could put a big dent in your cash flow. It could be potentially very harmful. When we first started, we understood the cost savings of small parcel because we just did an apples to apples comparison just like this. And our first shipment that we did, we were so excited. Look at all this money we're going to save. This is all going to add into our profit, into our bottom line. So we sent in our first LTL shipment, and we're happy. The pickup comes the very next day. Okay, that's not quite as good already because with the small parcel stuff, it was going out the same day. And generally, we were getting delivered, next day, small parcel. So it was a quick turnaround time from us to Amazon. And then whatever happens when Amazon gets it is, who knows? It's a wild card. It could be quick. It could be very not quick. But with LTL, we were looking at next day pickups, which we said, okay, it's no big deal. We're saving a lot of money. What's one day? But it doesn't take the one day to get there. It could take several days until it gets just to the fulfillment center. Because here's the process. The process is we book the LTL shipment, generally with Amazon using their partnered carrier because it's the least expensive. The carrier will set the pickup with us. They'll come pick up the product at our facility, and then it goes to one of their facilities where it sits. And it'll sit there not very long, but it will sit there until they have enough products to go to their fulfillment center that is closest to the final destination. So let's say you were in Jersey and you were shipping to New York. They'll pick up your pallets in Jersey and bring it to their local Jersey hub. Once they have enough pallets going into the New York hub, those pallets will be loaded onto their truck and shipped to New York. Now they're sitting at the carrier's New York hub, but they still have to get to the Amazon fulfillment center. At this point in time is when they book an appointment with Amazon, which could be quick. It could very well not be quick. They do need an appointment to make these deliveries because Amazon doesn't let anything in without an appointment that comes on a truck. So now they have the appointment made, and let's just assume it could be a day or two out. Honestly, it's usually longer than that. Now it has to get to the fulfillment center 2 days later. Well, all of a sudden, we're already, 5 days into this thing, and it's not even at an Amazon fulfillment center yet. It's not even sitting there. And we all know that the sitting there is the worst part because it's just, I know it's there, just open the box and let me sell it. Now, once it gets there, it could sit a little bit longer. I tend to think that they put a little bit more priority on palletized shipments than they do on small parcel. So in general, it might go a little quicker to get it received, but there's no guarantee in that. But the bottom line for that part is the downside to the LTL shipping is certainly it's a slower process. there's really no way around it either. There's no efficient method to say, I'm going to get this there tomorrow. I mean, unless you have a real great contact with a carrier or you know somebody, it's very, very, very difficult. We've never been able to do it. And of course, the larger you get, if you ever get to the full truckload level, it's much, much faster and much, much less expensive. For example, this LTL shipment is 2 pallets, and you could fit 26 on a truck. It's costing us $156 to ship these 2 pallets. But we can ship an entire truck to the same location for $400. Big, big difference. So when you get to that scale, there's a certain number of pallets that you can do the math on saying, wait, it just makes more sense to do FTL because the price is the same and I know it's going to be at least a little faster. In a lot of cases, a lot faster. And of course, as I say that now, we have a shipment that's sitting there. It's been sitting in a yard for days and nobody knows anything about it, but it's just the way that it works, unfortunately. Back in the Amazon Seller Central, let's look at some of the requirements and some of the rules that we have to follow when we send these shipments out, because there certainly are rules. And as you know, Amazon takes these things very seriously. So we need to make sure that we are within their terms. We do everything exactly the way they want it, because if it gets sidelined, even if you don't really get in trouble for it, it's just going to take more time, and nobody needs that. We need this to be as quick and painless as possible. Let's face it. It says on this page, you're going to learn what is required to send LTL and FTL to the Amazon fulfillment centers. They're basically the same thing, very, very similar. So this will go for both. This disclaimer that's sitting right here is basically saying, make sure all of the rules are followed by you and the carrier. When it's a partnered carrier, we really don't have to worry about it too much. But if you're using your own carrier, you really want to make sure that Amazon's getting all the information they need so they can receive these the right way. Because they say that they could potentially just completely refuse a shipment. I don't think we've ever had that happen to us, but I'm sure someone has. Here we go. Box limits. Amazon has limits of how many boxes can be in a single shipment, and a single LTL shipment cannot exceed 5,000 boxes. Now that's a lot, and we're not even shipping 5,000 boxes. In addition, Amazon has requirements on what types of pallets and sizes of pallets we're allowed to send them. It says we can use 40 by 48 inches 4-way access wooden pallets. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, don't panic. The standard size of a pallet is 40 by 48. So this is the most common pallet that you see. You're going to get these everywhere. Almost always, this is what your product is coming to you on when you're buying wholesale. So don't worry about finding the right pallets. Usually, they're the right sizes. 4-way access wooden pallets just means that a forklift can grab it from the front, or the side, or the other side, or the back. It can get to it from any direction. And again, almost all pallets are like this. You don't have to worry about that, really. This next part is talking about the oversized items, and really, we're not going to get into this too much, but it's basically saying if a single oversized unit can't fit on a 40 by 48 pallet just because it's simply too large, you just have to use a pallet size that's suitable for the unit. So if it's something that's giant and comes on a giant pallet, just ship it on the giant pallet, if it's one unit. In addition to the pallet size, there's also certain requirements of what types of pallets there are, because of course there's different types of pallets that are for different situations. For standard Amazon shipments, for most items, non-grocery items, non-health and beauty items, they allow you to ship on a GMA Standard B pallet. And what is a GMA Standard B pallet? Well, here it is. This is what we have. The Standard B stands for Grade B. And Grade B is also known as Grade 2 pallets, depending on where you're getting them. They're these kinds of pallets that have had repairs. You can tell that someone has re-nailed the boards in. They're not quite new, they're not quite perfect, but they're sturdy and they're acceptable. Basically, this is a pallet that has been repaired, but is still very structurally sound, that can handle the weight of the products without a problem. And generally speaking, the benefit to using these pallets is they're definitely less expensive than the next one, which is the Grade A pallets. If we look here, this is going to show the difference between the pallets. A Grade A pallet is in good condition and doesn't require any repairs. This is basically a pallet that's nearly new, that has never had any repairs done to it. And the Grade A pallets are what they're requiring for grocery products and health and personal products. There's also another kind of pallet, and this is called a CHEP pallet. And these CHEP pallets you may have seen before. They're much different looking. They're still the same size. They're very, very sturdy. They're a lot heavier, but Amazon doesn't like them. They say they don't want them. These are not included in their accepted pallets list. I'm going to tell you that we have shipped thousands of these things to an Amazon fulfillment center without ever, knock on wood, one single problem. Take that for what it's worth, but according to Amazon TOS, they don't like these. Well, Digibear doesn't like paying for pallets, so we all got our thing. As long as your pallet isn't falling apart and cracked and, destroyed in any way, you're going to be fine. But don't send them broken pallets. Anything you do not send them to Amazon, because that, I will tell you, they do not like. Make sure the pallets are in good enough condition where they're going to make the trip without any problems. I really don't think that Amazon has warehouse workers that are standing there waiting to inspect the quality of the pallets. If it doesn't explode on them, if it doesn't fall apart when they're moving it, it's fine, in our opinion. I think that you're going to be just fine with it here. In summary, an LTL shipping can be a very efficient, cost-saving alternative to small parcel, if you're willing to deal with the potential downsides. Now again, we haven't shipped LTL in several years, so who knows? Maybe it's faster than it was before. I really hope that it is. But when we were doing it several years ago, we did not last long because we said we'd rather just pay for these boxes and get the items there. And those are those cost killers, those silent killers that you really, really want to avoid. So if you can find a way to master this yourself, you are already ahead of the game because you saw the cost savings. You can see how it adds up, and it's all just going to fix your bottom line. That's all we have. Hustle up.